People power growth, but recruiting and onboarding are expensive, exhausting, and absolutely overwhelming. I've been there, and it doesn't have to be this way. Welcome to Hire and Empower. I'm your host, Molly McGrath. Join me as we interview leaders who care about their teams and distill powerful lessons from them. This show is sponsored by H&E, helping organizations to find their best hire and empower them for success. Learn more at hiringandempowering.com. Okay, today I'm really excited about this conversation. I'm flying solo, and we are going to talk about law firm transitions, people transitions. There are some clues. You might be in the middle of a big shift or a change or a transition. Maybe things feel unstable or off, and you can't put your finger on the why. Maybe when you used to do and think a certain way doesn't quite fit anymore within your firm. When things in your firm are breaking down, seemingly in ways that are out of your control, whether you're the employee listening to this, the leader listening to this, the entrepreneur and attorney listening to this, when your future feels foggy and your instinct is to fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Maybe other people notice that you're too busy, you're stressed, you're frustrated. They don't come to you. They don't grab you by the shoulders and sit you down and say, we need the power of the pause. What can I take off your plate? We need to stop, drop, and roll because right now things feel rather chaotic and unpredictable, which creates instability, which causes anxiety, which is the root of lack of information. We're just swirling, 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 and spinning. Maybe you're spending an insane amount of time suppressing uncomfortable situations, fear of conflict, fear of your employee quitting, fear of so-and-so having an absolute breakdown. Maybe we have to have crucial conversation with clients or our intake process, whatever it means, and you don't want to deal with it. Burying your head in the sand or stuffing it down until the place that it becomes a massive explosion. As a business coach in the legal space for 20 plus years, and just coming off of week 12 of our law firm admin boot camp, we're completing it. The assistants are getting their certification and really being knee deep, neck deep in many, many law firms. There's no doubt in my mind that we are in a huge shift in transition, and it's not going away. There are way too many patterns and similarities across totally different niches. For example, just to be concise, I think there's a lot of businesses in operation today that won't be open in 5 years because their owners were not willing, their leaders were not willing to see the transition, talk about the transition, recognize the transition in their people, the process, the production, how we do what we do, when we do what we do, how we serve the community, etc., how we pivot to get into this digital online space, in this membership economy, etc., in this virtual economy, in this massive age of information economy. And so, you think about many different industries, but by and large, the legal industry. Last week, I was at the CRISP Game Changer Summit. Many of you were there. It was so great to see so many familiar faces and those I didn't have the opportunity to hug, seeing on social media. I felt like every time I opened up Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, every other post was about, I'm at the Game Changer Summit. Got to see Morgan & Morgan speak, which, by the way, holy moly, just totally debunked everything that I thought about big firm. Such an extraordinary, humble, beautiful law firm model that they run there. But it's just amazing. And a lot of the conversation was about, if we don't wake up, if we don't have the conversations, we're going to be left in the dust, especially in the legal space. And we feel the niggle. We feel the rumble. But we have this saying, and this one thing that I taught over and over and over and over in the law firm admin boot camp. Two statements that need to be absolutely eradicated from your vocabulary and from the walls of your office, virtually or brick and mortar anymore. Number one, we're too busy, or any rendition of that. I know the attorney's so busy. No longer, if you're not busy, you're out of business. So it's about focus management. It's about intentionality. It's about giving ourselves the grace to actually have the power of the pause, to be able to really sit with these transitions and workshop them together. It's no longer that we have to suffer in silence. Our employees want that vulnerability. Second statement is, I don't know how to ... I absolutely was on my soapbox every single week for 12 weeks with the assistants. We had paralegals in there. We had C-suites, PLAs, client service coordinators, non-attorney salespeople, intake dragons, whatever term resonates with you in the program. Like, no longer, this is an adult conversation. This is an adult business. You see the writing on the wall where we need to change, where we need to pivot, where the attorney is absolutely at their max, where some of your colleagues are at their max. We no longer get to have this amateur conversation called I don't know how. We are talking about adult conversations. We are talking about proposed solutions. We no longer need management because we are legal leaders leading legal leaders. We have leadership and CEO mindset. And so we are all living in a massive transition. And if you don't give yourself, especially at this day, this time of year, end of year, beginning of the year, we all know all the feels that come with it. We know all the shoulds that come with it. We're all getting hammered by ads and social media and email marketing and everything else about that. But the one thing that I really, really took away, which I loved, and it was just such music to my ears at the Game Changers Summit, is you have to embrace this transition head on, meaning that you have to include your team. Jessica Mogul did a whole presentation on team, and the chats were blowing up. The people at the breaks were blowing up about it. I'm like, this is the stuff I've been preaching about all, 20 plus year. Your people are the make or break of this. So we have to include them in there, because guess what, guys and gals? They have the solutions. This is what I kept hearing over and over again on Thursdays during our open coaching hours in the law firm admin bootcamp. We have these conversations. We see where we need to pivot. We see where we need to change, et cetera. We make it, we take it away from the attorney. We give them full faith and confidence. Let us 80% this and come back to you. And then we come back and they rip it all apart. Or there's this defer and deflect, or fill in the blank. And the team are getting nervous because they're saying, if we don't give ourselves the time to really focus on the things that we need to pivot on, that we need a transition on. So many of you are going through massive growth. You're hiring, you're adding people to the quote unquote good to great bus. And some of you adding the high level leadership, PLAs, office managers, COOs, whatever term resonates to you. And we have to go back to the neutral zone. The biggest part of a transition, disruption happens, and then we transition to X, Y, and Z. The part that most people want to hop over and skip over and forget about, or maybe have no knowledge of, is the neutral zone. And there's a phenomenal book by William Bridges called Transitions. And he wrote a second one, even Transitions in the Workplace. And he talks about the neutral zone. This is what your team are begging for. I have them all trained up in the law firm admin bootcamp of exactly how to come with entrepreneur mindset around this, CEO mindset around this, COO mindset around this. But you all, as an entrepreneur, as a leader, whoever's listening to this and what seat on the bus you sit in, you have to give your business and your employees, your team, the gift of time to be able to sit in that neutral zone, to get the data, to get the information in every area of your practice, and really embrace that power of the pause and get deeply curious and use that time for R&D so we're prepared and we're ready to shift. It's one of the things we worked, I think, 2 weeks on within the law firm growth, or within the law firm admin bootcamp, job descriptions. And we found, okay, when I was hired, it was just me and I was wearing the hat of 3.5 people. Or way back when it was just me and the attorney. Now we've grown, we added people to the firm, and I'm still doing X, Y, and Z. So the people that I hired to replace me so I could level up are saying, give me more so you can grow into the next best version of you. And there's a domino effect. The attorney's holding on and not giving to you, but they're not delegating to you because you're not delegating to the people that we hire. Now we have 5 different people with their hands in the pot of the same job, but then we have a gaping hole here in sales, intake, paralegal, marketing, wherever it may be. So when you really truly are in this place of growth, you have to give yourself the gift and grace. You have to give your team the gift and process it, systematize it in your practice of operating a transition. And how you operate when things are operating in full equanimity. Most people want to hop over the neutral zone, or they just start adding on and adding on and adding on people, process, marketing systems, coaches, legal organizations, what have you. But there is an impact. And a lot of times that lands like resistance or resentment from the team. I am here to tell you, we had over 30 law firms with multiple positions that showed up every single stinking week. I was so proud. Every Tuesday, we teach the 12-week series, very methodical, very much in a teaching and training perspective. You go to lawfirmadminbootcamp.com, get the agenda, get the details, all that. Thursdays, I do an open coaching hour. I open up the what I like to call not hot seats, because employees don't love that. They're love seats where they show up and just pour it out so I can support them for a breakthrough. And the things we are consistently hearing over and over and over again, they're coming, they're showing up, they're pouring out their heart and soul. We know we're in the business of change. We know we have to be changing because, especially in this day and age, in a virtual world, subscription model world, now, non-attorneys owning law firms world, which if you think it's not coming, that was a whole theme of the Game Changer Summit. It is here, it is coming. And if you are not expecting, it is coming within the next 5 to 10 years. Just prepare for that, which I'm not going to go into that. I'll do a whole nother podcast on that of just the major blessings and excitement and opportunities for law firm owners during that, if you're willing to recognize it and really hone in to your VIP programs that you offer, lean into your processes, lean into all your educate to motivate that you have, but you have to give the time. Your team is not resisting this. Every time you add another process, system, CRM, legal organization, fractional, this, that, and the other thing, coach. I just went through this process myself. I'm in EO. I'm a huge fan of EOS. I just hired a fractional COO. Well, it was very quickly where you see the disruption in the people, because now the flashlight's there. If we did not give ourselves consistently every single week time to sit in the neutral zone, the power of the pause to really clarify and verify, to look at the 2 millimeter shifts that we're doing, the changes that we're making, why we're making them, getting input, getting feedback, and getting people to get it in their bones and bloods and be part of it versus just forcing this on them, there'd be a mass exodus or there'd be resistance everywhere. And we never be able to accomplish our goals in a way that empower and excite our team. So your team, they're begging for this. During this transition time, in every step, you should consistently be in transition. We're adding layers, but when you have the dedicated time to look at what's working, what's not working, when you have the dedicated time, one of the big things with the job descriptions I had everyone do when they went through the time effectiveness exercise, every single person had to have 10% of what they were going to delegate. And they just threw it all in a kitty, threw it all in the pool, and the proverbial like dumping the junk drawer on the dining room table. Like, we're not solving it, but that's what we're doing right now. What do you present? What are you replacing your 10% delegation with for your 10% up leveling with, including the attorney? Which is fascinating exercise. It brought back so much collaboration, so much cohesiveness. It shined the flashlight on where we had breakdowns in process and production, as I said earlier. So if you are not going through a transition, I would very much invite you to look at where you're hiding out. If you're not going through a transition consistently, quarterly, within your practice, it's either intentional or it's being forced on you, or it's a saber-toothed tiger ready to pounce on you very quickly. And then it becomes a disaster. So we want to avoid that as much as possible. Give your team the gift and give them the confidence and have faith in them that they can handle every piece of your transition. They're actually sitting in the waiting lines, sidelines, waiting for you to enroll them, waiting for you to magically have time to support them. One thing we talked very heavily about was focus management templates in the Law Firm Memo Bootcamp, in particular, growth days. And having that sacred time where we're working on our 4 top power projects every single quarter, where everybody's working on their top KPIs and their performance indicators for every single line item in their job description. I got resistance in the beginning with the team, absolutely. But once we had the breakdown to the breakthrough, there's no going back. It's hilarious to hear them saying, where's our reporting? Where's our KPI? Nobody violate our growth time because we have this project or that project. It's going to impact our bonus this quarter. And we don't need to worry about this or keep hijacking our time. Today, it's going to impact our quarterly bonus. What we do today is going to impact the effort 6 months. I love hearing them parrot back this entrepreneurial, this CEO, this entrepreneurial language and mindset. They have the mindset, they have the habits, and they have the behaviors to match it. So a word that consistently gets thrown on employees is the word change, where they freeze or fight or flight or fawn, and then it becomes a place of resentment. Versus a transition that they're wholly, fully part of it. And you're always, I cannot say this enough, you can't hop over the neutral zone. And if you don't know what I mean by this, highly recommend you go get the book Transition by William Bridges. You could just Google search it. And I believe you'll even see Transitions in the Workplace if you want to get that one as well, or one or the other. Doesn't matter. Both very, very powerful. Probably one of the best books I've ever read. So I'm going to invite you all to give me your team. Let me support them with embracing leading every area of transition in your firm and or cracking open a necessary transition that has to occur. Every week within the 12 weeks, we are talking about accountability and deadlines, how to make that shift from employee to CEO entrepreneur mindset. We talk about the habits of taking ownership with a leadership proposed solution mindset. We are talking about caring and owning and losing sleep if necessary over client intake cancellations and the calendar, and how to make certain that we know our perfect ideal week. We know our recipe for success. We know what we need to in regards to leads, in regards to consultations, in regards to hires, in regards to up leveling, in regards to our membership economy, etc. They know how to create and lead firm-wide strategic planning session. It's taking all of this off of you. Now you need to show up with the mission, vision, and core values. Absolutely. You need to show up like the president, and they're your board of directors that are presenting to you, not delegating back up to you, not coming to you with endless problems with zero proposed solutions. This is how you get through the transition. This is how we embrace transitions. And this is how we don't just recklessly skip over the breakdown to the transition or the change to the transition, and consistently have consistent, persistent space for that neutral zone, that think tank, that visionary time, that strategic time that we are all craving as entrepreneurs, that we are all craving as employees, creating predictable, sustainable employee production, which leads to predictable, sustainable employer profitability. So understanding the stages of a business life cycle, where you're at currently, how to navigate the structure, the stage of your firm, and how to get to the next, and enrolling your team so they know which steps to take next as you continue to grow into your future self, into your future law firm. So give me your team. We're here at the end of the year. This is a phenomenal employee retention tool. It is a phenomenal tool and training to take off your plate, because I hear from attorneys all the time, I know I'm not spending enough time with my team. I freak out when I see that Susie Q put a calendared appointment or sends me a text or an email and says, hey, we need to talk. I go right to the dark side and think they're going to quit. You no longer have to live in that place of wonder and worry. We're having upfront, courageous conversations about the next right move, about the transition, about the things that need to up level, change, or go away in real time, so it doesn't become this explosive bomb. It's a way to move from the great employee resignation to the great employee restoration. So class starts Tuesday, January 10th. Wonderful professional and personal development gift to pour into your employees. Many of the firms that have been in there are just incredibly grateful that they finally are getting access to mindset and personal and professional development and growth that they see often that you all are experiencing. Hopefully, anyone who listens to my podcast, you do have coaches, you spend money on masterminds. They see you flying all over the country and working on improving yourself, improving your business. Give your team the same gift and respect, because I'm just blown away every single week, watching them show up armed, ready, questions, homework, projects done. This is your opportunity to consistently stay on a path of growth, because you've heard the quote once, you've heard it a million times. If you're not growing, you're dying. And I say that not from a place of shame, blame, and fear, but we all in every industry, especially in the legal industry, really need to have this front and center for us. It's no longer, we cannot have the excuses and reasons of we're so busy, fill in the blank. We don't have time for whatever. Because if you're so busy working in your business consistently, you're not going to have a business to work on. You're never going to wake up one day and say, oh, thank God, I just have this unlimited gobs of free time, this white space, this creative space. Now let me talk about employee growth plans. Now let me talk about strategy. Now let me talk about vision or what have you, because your employees will not be there. Every human being on this planet, we have all been woken up to a place of craving for purpose, craving. We measure consciously or unconsciously where we spend our time and what we spend our time doing. If it's not making impact, if it's not making a difference for me, for the people I spend with, for the global community in a widespread way, people are just opting out. So you want to give your employees a place where we are consistently growing and evolving. I'm not talking about numbers, size of people. That's not my measuring stick. My measuring stick is that we are in persistent, continuous communication, collaboration, and action, and we know where true north is. It's the end of the year. Let's get 2023 set up in a locked and loaded, solid place for everybody, every law firm to win. And not win for the sake of just winning, but win from a place of personal, professional, financial freedom, ease, and joy. Otherwise, why are we doing this? All right. Until next time, continue being legal leaders leading legal leaders, and have fun, celebrate. Take time for the power of the pause to celebrate what you've accomplished this year. Don't just gloss over what we did not accomplish. Celebrate with your team, acknowledge with your team, and have fun and rest and rejuvenation. It is not all about full throttle bloody until Christmas or Hanukkah or the end of the year or New Year's Eve or New Year's Day or what have you. Give everybody in your life the gift of acknowledgement, gratitude, and celebration. You deserve it. We've reached the end of another impactful conversation on the Hire and Empower podcast. Whether this was your first episode or you're a longtime listener, I know you can tell I have passion for people. Whether you're a business owner, employee, executive, or hiring manager, I understand the situation you're in. Hiring, onboarding, and leadership is expensive, exhausting, overwhelming, and if that's not enough, it's also time-consuming. My friends, it doesn't have to be this way. There is a team at H&E that has your back. For over 25 years, they've transformed over 4,000 law firms into efficient, effective, profitable assets for their business and made it fun to come to work again. Check out our Smart Hire solution, our employee leadership program, and the 66-day law firm turnaround at hiringandempowering.com.